The larger the company is, the slower they move. One of the key lessons is have a bit of naivety about you can actually do it. I think outsourcing is one, it's speed, the cost of it as well. The key thing as a startup, you need speed and you need feedback and you need then great loops. I think as long as you have a clear idea of your product and your roadmap, then outsourcing is the key, I see. I think what it gives you is the flexibility and the speed, which is key in any startup, is that you want to have the speed to deliver a product.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Devico Breakfast Bar. Here we speak with different people involved in the business landscape, share their expertise, delve into the tech trends and explore the ins and outs of IT outsourcing. I'm Oleg Sadikov and today I'm excited to have Jason Iliffe, CEO and founder at CLIQ, a social networking platform. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss on new episodes. Hi Jason, and thanks for joining me today.
No, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on.
If you don't mind, let's start our podcast with a little blitz. I start a sentence and you continue.
Sure, let's do that.
Entrepreneurship gave me
freedom.
It deprived me
time. I suppose that those contradict each other, right? I've just said freedom and time.
My main superpower is
my creativity.
My main weakness is
controlling. I've got OCD.
Over-controlling.
Over-controlling, maybe, yeah.
When I'm afraid, I
go quiet.
Okay, that's it. It was not too much complicated.
Yeah.
Let's start our podcast. Can you share your journey from your early days in the business world to founding CLIQ?
Yeah, of course. So I think my entrepreneurial journey started around 6 years ago now. I was just at university and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I know I always wanted to work for myself. So I decided to get a one-way trip to Asia. And I was like, I planned 3 months with my partner, who later became my co-founder of the first business and now co-founder of this one. And it was there we moved to Australia, and trip was planned for 3 months, ended up being 3 years in the end. My partner was a huge makeup artist in the UK, used to work on shoots and sets. And then once we moved to Australia, she found it really difficult to find work. And I remember coming home to me and saying, I wish there was a website I could just put my services on and people could book me instead of me going to find clients. It was such a simple idea. I was like, let me take a look online, I'll find you the website and I'll put you on it by the end of the day. And I just started searching the internet for marketplaces or just something, and there was nothing there. There was the big ones looking after salons, but no one for the freelance beauty professional, which we later found out was 60% of the market. So being naive, which is probably a good trait to have as a founder, because if you knew how hard it was going to be, you definitely wouldn't start, right? So I was like, how hard can it be? I've got all this free time. Let me code the website. Let me design it. And I was going on YouTube, learning how to code. And the first website was disgusting. It was horrible. It didn't even work. But what it did is it just gave us free flow to get 1-2% better every single day. And then was a marketplace business which connected the freelance beauty professional, whether that be a makeup artist, hairstylist, massage therapist, to the consumer, and launched it after a couple of drinks on a beach. And we were like, okay, let's just see what happens. And it was 100 people signed up within the week, and these were makeup artists, hairstylists, and we were just promoting it across socials. And then it was 1,000 within a month, and it was 2,000 in a couple of months. So we were traveling back home, and I was like, okay, now we have a business, let's figure out how to make it money. So we actually got a team together who actually built a proper website and allowed us to take payments, etc. And then what happened to us is that skyrocketed us. We grew 300% each month. We grew into 10,000 users, beauty professionals taking 40 bookings a month at some stages. That led to the acquisition of that company where a beauty brand was looking to acquire us for the data. And we worked with them for about 2-3 years. We decided to leave. That was at the end of that. And found myself with all this free time, wanting to meet people of similar interests, whether that be entrepreneurs or wanting to join a run club. And when I looked into the space, I was like, all the apps right now are social media apps and no social networking apps. And what I mean by that is every app on our phone right now, the feed is full of brands, algorithm, not full of our friends anymore. We don't find connection. Most people we follow are not our friends anymore. CLIQ was about how do we connect communities online to push that opportunity offline. And that's where we just started developing and designing and being okay, what came before CLIQ? How can we make it better? We ran with it, got an MVP out, and that got to 20,000 downloads in such a short stage and moving the V1 MVP to a V1 right now, which is racing up to 30,000 downloads. And just last month, we hit just over 1 million in-app actions taken in and out, which was pretty incredible for this stage right now with zero spend. So yeah, that's my journey so far.
Thank you for sharing the journey. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced while building CLIQ?
We're against giants in this place, right? You're against the Metas, the Snapchat, the Bumble. But also, I think the biggest challenge is now all our interactions are online. Like when we look now, we're the loneliest generation there's ever been, and that's not just 18 to 25, that's across ages and genders. So it's now about that behavioral change, right? Is that, okay, maybe it's time to connect with the run club and actually put it down and go and meet these people in real life. We know we want it. Like there's a downfall in all the dating apps right now. People are turning to the run clubs, right? And people know that they're consuming maybe 3-4 hours a day sat on their phone and no connection. So that's the biggest challenge, is teaching people now about go out, and that's a difficult thing to do, is go and meet some strangers, maybe go to an event. We built an MVP in less than 2.5 months, and it was web viewed app, really, really basic. It was there to prove, would people download it? Would people use it? And we had a great problem, right? A lot more users than we thought would download the app and start using it. So then we started moving the app from an MVP to a V1 with downloads increasing, introducing new features. So you're trying to keep your user base really happy at the beginning stage and not lose them. But at the same time, you're trying to scale. So like you're moving at speed, but also it's been difficult. But it's the best thing about CLIQ is that the numbers are great right now, but you can also see that human impact of people actually, when you see an event and it's 50 people and you find out 90% of those have never met each other before and they go to the same event again and they come back, and that's probably our biggest challenge so far.
I wish everyone had the same problems when the numbers exceed your expectations.
It's a good problem to have, right? Like I'm not going to complain about that. But like for us it's why we built up a wait list. So we were growing really fast and we said, okay, we're not going to onboard any more users right now. We're going to build up this wait list. So when I launched the V1, their first interaction with the app is like, okay, this is great. Because luckily some of our first users are still here today. And that's because they have our WhatsApp numbers, right? Like I can speak to them. I kept the community happy, those kind of things.
What are some of the current trends in social networking that you find most exciting?
I think there's a couple of what we're seeing right now, especially in the community space, is people are prioritizing their health and wellness. So you can't walk through Hyde Park on a weekend without going past 15 different run clubs. Secondly is that people are wanting in real life connection. I know I mention this a lot, is that we don't just want this, we want to get out, we want to feel the energy, we want to be in the room with like-minded people. And third, a big trend is people are socializing more in non-alcoholic spaces. So these are like sober events or even more wholesome things. Whereas if you look 5 years ago, maybe every social event that was in the workplace was a drinks at a bar. And it was the same how you met people. I went to university and I wouldn't even ever hear of a sober event. There would always be alcohol there. And this new generation are looking at events that there's not even alcohol involved. Maybe it's a book club, maybe it's the run club, the walk club. And that's one of the biggest trends that we're seeing. But I think from like a brand's perspective on the social network and what we're finding most exciting, the budgets that brands used to have for influencers is now shifting to communities. Because one, it's higher engagement. Two, if I can tell you not only these women are interested in, but this is their age, this is their walkers, their runners, whatever that is, I can get that in front of a female-based sweaty Betty, let's say. They can get in front of the run club. So that's what we're seeing right now.
That's interesting and useful. What shifts are you seeing in user behavior and preferences in the social networking space?
I think a lot of people are wanting to get out and experience more, but we just don't know how, right? We've been on these dating apps where we've been swiping left to right on 100 people a day and expecting connection. I mean, when I downloaded some of these apps and some of these friendships apps, I was like, let me see how these work. And I'm like swiping through guys, the way they look, and then matching with them. And I was like, this is strange, right? Like, if I look at my friends today, I don't say, he's a good looking guy, that's why I'm friends with him. It just doesn't make sense, right? It's so superficial. It's about learning about how do we actually connect. It's location based, it's life stage. us connecting a 20-year-old woman that wants to walk. Like, there's going to be different things they're interested in. So there's all things that we're seeing with that. But I think like trends that we're seeing is even brands now thinking about in real life communities. So for the last 7 years or 10 years of social networking apps, and we call them social media now, it's a great place to build an audience, but not a great place to build a community. So this is where we see Free Soul or Blank Street have done a paddle club and just brought their community in. I even seen a beauty brand called Refine. Instead of doing an influencer trip, which they used to do every single year and invite the best influencers, what they did is they went into their WhatsApp group and said, we're going to take 10 of our community instead. And these are just like their loyal customers. They took them on the trip, and that gained a lot more traction. And I think brands are going to start looking at that more, is like, how do we build community? And even if I know in London, Gymshark every Wednesday do the run club, and about 200 people turn up. But these 200 people turn up in everything Gymshark. They run through the city. This is like the best marketing plan you could think of. Like, you have all these people shouting about it, running through the city, wearing your brand. Everyone's like, what is this? And you see them all wearing Gymshark. And people, if you run on your own and you go and run at a run club, the difference you have at a run club, like 5K goes like that. So yeah, I think that's the difference we're seeing.
The social networking market size is expected to reach around 81 billion by the end of 2024 and grow at a CAGR of 70% to reach 179 billion by 2029. What trends are you seeing? How users are managing their data and privacy online?
Yeah, I think more are turning off, right? I think what we've learned is we're just being bombarded with ads, right? You know, look on your feed right now, you don't see your friends. You just see ads, you just see the algorithm being chucked at you. And we're starting to realize that. I know so many people, including myself, that have deleted so many social media apps. It's like, I'm taking a weekend off, I need to. You open up your app and you don't even know what you're doing, you're just scrolling and thinking, and we're missing that connection. So I think this is why companies will start looking at community-based marketing instead of reaching to the broad audience. And how can I explain that is, when we look at influencers, we're looking at now 0.07% of engagement, if you're lucky, and some of these huge influencers. And let's say it's a fitness brand and they go to this influencer, like, let's target them. 0.07%. What we can do is say, get you in front of the community that is all female, they're runners. This is around 70% engagement. That's the difference that we're seeing. It's a lot smaller, but you're going to get your worthwhile. So I see right now that the more data you give CLIQ at the moment, I'm interested in this kind of fitness. It's not just sport and fitness, it's yoga, boxing. Then we will show you results related to that. So it improves every single time. And only if we show ads inside the platform or anything like that, we actually share the revenue stream with the community that's doing that. So giving back to those as well, which I think for the social networkings before, they've been harvesting our data and we've made zero. So you've been building communities, you've been building audiences, and you get zero of this. What CLIQ wants to do is really involve them in that transaction. So I build a run club to 1,000 people. A brand comes to us and gives us a K to get in front of those. How can we knock back 30-40% back to those and really just give them money for existing on CLIQ?
Having such big competitors as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, as you already mentioned, how do you stay competitive in a market saturated with social networking apps?
Yeah, I think I've seen this many times, and even with our first business when it was acquired, is that the larger the company is, the slower they move, and we can take way bigger risks, and we can put out features, we can risk a little bit, and that's why we're putting out things. We can be a little bit risky. So I can give you an example, as in the first business, what would take us a week was taking 3 months to get out. So like, if you think that Facebook and Bumble had to get a feature out now, it would take so long for them to change anything. But for us, we're getting out a lot quicker. We can get feedback a lot better. There's no way that Meta can sit down with their user base and start asking them questions and bring them into the product. But for us, is we're doing that most weeks. We sit down with community leaders, we sit down with our users and say what's working, what isn't working, and develop from that. So I think for us, we're not here to replace any of those platforms. We're actually here to pave our own way. I think there's a hybrid here that's not been developed before, and that's an online and offline community app. It's focused on real connection. Since really there's been like the dating apps, the social media, and Facebook now is not getting the younger generation, right? I asked my sister, who's like 24, how she hasn't even got a Facebook account. When I asked her, she was like, my grandparents are on there. It's just like, it's not cool for them to be on there anymore. And their groups, they're not meeting. So when you look at their group look at their social networking apps. They have Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram. Like how that is not connecting them to anyone. They're just like consuming, scrolling, liking. It is a very competitive market, but I think for us is we're paving our own way. And if we were, I think there's a lot to learn from what they'd done at the beginning. Like when Facebook first started, it was great. It still connected us, right? At the moment, it's just media consuming. I think people want to go back to that, so I'm not too worried. Probably a naive thing to say, and that's always got me so far.
I'm sure the next question you have been asked many times, but it's definitely an interesting question. Are there any key lessons you have learned that you wish you knew when you started your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I think from the first to the second business is speed. The speed that I've done the second one compared to the first one, and that's just knowing more. And I suppose you don't know what you don't know, right? Like when I first started my first business, I was like, I didn't even know what a pitch deck was. I didn't even know how to run a business plan. How would I get investors on board? I just didn't understand it. I just learned along the way. And for me, I think one of the key lessons is have a bit of naivety about you can actually do it. Like, it's like when you ask me, are you thinking about Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? Like I really should be, right? Like there's such giants, but actually I think we can beat them. And that's just me being naive and our team like thinking, okay, we can do this. Like if I got up and I thought, do you know what? One day Facebook's just going to bring out a product that just beats this. Then what's the point of me trying? So for us, I think it's just having that grit. And also, I think the biggest key lesson is I don't take anything personal. So I think the first business it was like, oh, I really don't like the pitch deck. I don't think this is going to make it. You hear 100 no's, and it used to like affect me. I used to be like, why don't you like it? Like, let me try and explain it to you. And when people say that to me now, I'm just like, that's okay, that's fine. I just take on the feedback, I can change it. It's like yesterday, one of our investors like asked me a question. He was like, do you mind if I just send you some feedback about the product? I have some things. I was like, please do. Be as harsh as you can about it, because that's the only way I can like improve this product. Where my first business, I'd be like, why is he trying to tell me how to build this product? I got it. And it just, for me, it's all about taking the feedback and just separating the personal. They're not saying it against you. It's like when an investor would be like, I just don't think this is going to work. I'd be like, you always hear them famous stories of people doing that like Airbnb and Uber and all these, even Facebook, and like said this was never going to work. So for me, it's just like, I truly believe it is. I'll take the feedback on and I'll separate it from like personal and business.
IT outsourcing is a major trend in the tech industry. What are your thoughts on the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing tech functions?
Yeah, I think we outsourced with CLIQ and with our first business, and with CLIQ, it's speed. I think for us, when you're trying to get a team together, it could take 3 months just to find the right CTO or the right team. There's 3 months. Then you want to go and onboard them team. You could be talking another 3 months. We built this product in 2.5 months, and that was just okay. I designed the app. I took it to a team. I was like, this is what we want to build. And the speed of it is just so much better. And I think what's the best thing about this is when you want to deliver something quicker or faster, you just up the team. And when you need to, you can decrease the team. And that gives you the flexibility of that. If I have that team in-house, let's say I got 4 people to start building it. Now it's like, okay, now I need to decrease. That's really hard for me to do with my personal team and also to increase that team as well. So I think outsourcing is one, it's speed, the cost of it as well. I think if you want to be fluid, you want to see if your product works, you want a founder wanting to get something out quick, I think it's the best way to do it from my experience.
How do you see the role of IT outsourcing evolving in the context of your industry's future needs and demands?
My personal plan is to outsource until we start slowly bringing in people. I think that's the best way to do it for us, is that it also gives me the flexibility we're releasing a new product and I want it out in a certain time. I'm like, okay, let's increase this team for 2 months, and they can do that within a week of notice. But if I had said like, look, I want to double my team for a product, that could take me 3 or 4 months to even find the right people, get them online, and then we're going. Where in 4 months, I could have the product out. And I think that's the key what's happening in the space right now, is that we're trying to outsource as much as possible for cost-wise, for speed-wise. And then, like I said, you can decrease, you can increase the team. And I think the key thing as a startup, you need speed and you need feedback and you need then great loops. I think as long as you have a clear idea of your product and your roadmap, then outsourcing is the key, I see.
Are there specific regions or countries that you find particularly promising for tech talent?
I think it's been a mixture for us. We have some teams in Eastern Europe, but also India. I think there's a mix now. There's a lot of great talent coming from Eastern Europe. But I think it's just finding great people all around, really. I think that's the key thing, especially with outsourcing, is that is done for you. In my first business and at the beginning of CLIQ, you can go through a couple of people so quick, you just don't know. Like, we had a CTO at the very beginning of CLIQ. It didn't exactly work out, and that was hard. That was like, okay, I need to find someone else, and he was not happy and I was not happy. And then, like, if I had an outsourced team and there's something not right, I just get more than what I bargained for. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on it.
As we wrap up our conversation, what advice would you give to business leaders considering outsourcing as a part of their growth strategy?
Yeah, I think I've said it before, and I think the reason why we did it, I think, is speed. I think what it gives you is the flexibility and the speed, which is key in any startup, is that you want to have the speed to deliver a product. You also want to have the flexibility to say, okay, maybe once we get this product, we're going to drop the team, or maybe in 3 months we're seeing huge engagement and we need to go here. Okay, let's up this team a little bit more. I think that's the key thing that I've told a lot of people right now. I used to have a CTO, but now I have a fractional CTO, which has lowered the cost dramatically for me. So I focus on the product, but I'm not exactly a technical founder. So I have a fractional CTO that looks after the technical questions, and if I have an issue or the outsourcing team has a technical question to ask me, I have someone on our side of the table which can say, okay, this is what I think. But really, I think having that will lower your cost dramatically, and it has 100% for us.
Jason, thanks very much for your time, for joining me, and for your insights.
No, thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on. Hope I shared some good insights for you.
Definitely. If you enjoy our discussion and want to stay updated on the future episodes, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you will not miss out on the new latest insights and conversations from the Devico Breakfast Bar. See you in the next episode.